Next, let's look at using constructive feedback. Maintaining and improving performance. Maintaining and improving a performance is like piloting a plane. The sooner we obtain information on how much we are deviating from our desired route, the smaller the navigational correction needed to take us to our destination. Constructive feedback has to be timely. It is more effective and less painful if given at the right time. Don't delay it. This helps the recipient to make early, minor corrections and avoid costly mistakes and crisis situations. Let us now look at few scenarios on the following pages about importance of feedback and how it should be constructive. Here's scenario 1. Terry is sweeping the warehouse. It will take her 4 hours to finish her job. Her manager has to then inspect and certify the work. After about 3.5 hours, Terry's supervisor walks in and comments, "Haven't you finished yet? We will never be ready for the inspection now. Look at the aisles. I see dust everywhere." How would you describe this feedback? Would this help improve Terry's performance? No, because this feedback raises 2 issues. Click here. 2 problems. Terry has just 30 minutes to complete her work. The feedback is so delayed that she does not have sufficient time for corrective action. The feedback is destructive, not constructive. It told her what was wrong without any suggestions for either present or future improvements. Alternative approach. The supervisor says, "Terry, it's good to see you making progress. We have only 30 minutes left for the inspection. I suggest you clean row by row. Then you can do the job faster. The inspection standard requires that there should be no litter anywhere. You have left some litter in that corner. You might find it helpful to use a smaller brush in those areas. I'm just around. Call me if you need any help." What does the recipient know? Basically, all constructive feedback lets the recipients know the following: what the standards are, how they are doing against those standards, what should they change to meet the standards, how long do they have to improve, what support they can expect from you. Now let's look at scenario number 2. Jane has just completed a market survey report. Her manager Dave is reviewing the report. He tells her, "Your report is excellent. The structure and clarity are top class. You have also made it ready on time. Can I offer you some suggestions to further improve your future reports? You have extensively used tables to convey the main points. You can consider including diagrams too. I want to know what your views are." Specific praises. You can do it. Dave has done a splendid job. Jane feels that Dave's feedback is genuine, not because he heaped compliments. Dave identified the specific areas of excellence and has offered a clear-cut suggestion for further improvement. Moreover, very importantly, Dave is not imposing his views but seeking to open up a dialogue on the best way forward. Constructive feedback should always be like this: 2 ways, allowing the recipient to probe the comments and be involved in the decision-making for further action. Managing performance and behavior. Feedback is an integral part of managing performance and behavior. These sessions can be conducted formally or informally. In both the cases, the required skill sets are the same. Now, let's look at coaching and counseling. Coaching and counseling are the next stages in constructive feedback. The gaps in knowledge, skills, or behavior which are required to bridge the gap between the actual and the desired performance levels are identified. The manager then offers or arranges to help to bridge these gaps. Now, let's look at scenario number 3. Susan operates a checkout in a department store. She was trained to use the cash register, but she is making mistakes processing checks. John, her supervisor, decides that some coaching would be appropriate. She demonstrates what needs to be done to deal with the checks and then asks Susan to have a go. Susan makes the same mistakes and John says, "No, no, no. You have done it wrong once again. You must watch closely and concentrate on what you are doing. Let us show you again." What do you think? Yes, a pretty dire piece of feedback. Let us look at the problem with this in the next slide. Here's the problem. John gives no specific information to Susan on what mistakes have been made. There is no clear indication about what should be done differently. No standards are given for processing checks. There is no two-way communication. Counseling. Counseling is a different process from coaching. In coaching, the reviewer guides the individual. In counseling, the emphasis is to explore issues and help the individual to come up with his or her own solution. Let's look at scenario 4. Sharon is a new employee at ABC Corporation. Her work is of a high order, but her attitude is not. She is short-tempered and is often very irritable with her colleagues. Brano, her supervisor, realizes that this is not good, neither for Sharon nor her colleagues. So he talks to Sharon. Hi Sharon, I'm very happy with the quality of your work. However, on occasions, I have seen you speak very curtly with your colleagues. For example, when David asked you for the budget file yesterday, you told him that you were too busy to look for it and then went back to your work. Depending on Sharon's reaction, Brano could continue with such questions like, how do you think David felt about it? How else could you have dealt with David's request? How do you feel about working in this section, etc.? Brano's feedback. Brano gave very specific feedback on the behavior that was causing the problem. He also referred to a very recent incident. Brano's emphasis was on drawing the issues and answers out from Sharon rather than finding a fault with her and instructing her on what to do. Learning and training. When learning new competencies, our minds are most open to receive feedback. So, feedback is very vital during training. It provides essential information to trainees on their progress and the additional areas to be focused upon. Not only the trainers, the trainees too can enhance the learning process by their feedback. Here's scenario 5. John is a trainer and is conducting a session on constructive feedback. Frank and Fiona are two participants in the training program. John is asking Frank to conduct a mock interview. Fiona role plays the interviewee. Frank completes the interview. It is a poorly conducted show and fails to probe Fiona's background and skills. John seeks Fiona's feedback. She does not want to hurt Frank and diplomatically comments, "It was a great session. I felt very comfortable and relaxed." The purpose of the feedback failed here. Frank needed some constructive feedback to improve his interviewing skills, which he did not get. Fiona is in need of guidance to improve her feedback skills and the courage of conviction to express her views. In the next slide, let us look at a different approach. Different approach. John asks Frank to summarize the information that he has obtained from the interview and then asks Fiona if there is any additional information that Frank has not brought out. Fiona points out the gaps. This provides clear, observable evidence that information has been missed. John then asks both of them to think about the sorts of questions that could have generated the missing information. Frank now has enough data to hone his interviewing skills. John thanks Fiona for her feedback. At the same time, she asks her to explain the specific questions or actions that made her feel relaxed and comfortable. Finally, John summarizes the situation from the perspectives of both Frank and Fiona. Frank now knows how to make the interviewee comfortable and relaxed and obtain more information from her. Feedback. In this way, the trainer has drawn out of both Frank and Fiona what needs improvement. In Frank's case, his interviewing skills, and in Fiona, her feedback skills. Developing and releasing potential. Skilled and well-presented feedback is a crucial part of this process. A skilled mentor or coach can help you see beyond your current performance and identify opportunities and career paths. Constructive feedback at key stages in individuals' careers can ensure that their potential is transformed into actual performance. Scenario number 6. Carol is keen to progress within her organization and decides to apply for every vacancy at the higher level. She is unsuccessful and is beginning to believe that gender bias might be the factor hindering her progress. This makes her frustrated. Carol is an ambitious lady. She wants to make the necessary changes to reach her goal. She takes the help of two mentors. Mentor A. In life, you do not always get what you want. Promotion is very hard to get these days. Don't be vexed. Keep on trying. In my case too, it took me several years to get my promotion. Be patient. Mentor B. You have to decide your priorities. What is important to you? The money, the status, or developing new skills? Evaluate yourself. Identify your strengths and the areas where you need improvement. This will help you target the jobs you might be most suited for and identify areas for further training and development. If you are Carol, whom would you listen to? A or B? Developing team performance. In today's corporate environment, teamwork is fundamental to success. You will work as a member of several teams and switch teams far more frequently than in the past. The ability of team members to give one another constructive feedback is a key ingredient for the growth of you and your organization. Let's look at scenario number 7. Now, in Zillion Computers, a project team is set up to improve customer service. The team consists of representatives from marketing, production, finance, systems, and HR. Steve, from the marketing department, is not a team player. He believes that only his ideas are the best. He dominates the meetings and never gives opportunity for others to express themselves. The rest of the team is frustrated. Susan, from the production department, decides to take the bull by the horns. In a meeting, Susan interrupts Steve and asserts, "Hang on a minute, Steve. Enough is enough. You are always pushing your ideas and none of us are getting an opportunity to pitch in. Could you just keep quiet for a few minutes and listen to the rest of us? We have ideas too, you know." Susan's approach turns Steve antagonistic. How can Susan modify her approach? A more productive approach might be for Susan to speak to Steve informally after the meeting. "Steve, I would value a few minutes with you to discuss how the project meetings are going. You have some excellent ideas. You present them effectively. Your presentations are so powerful that I get overawed. I'm finding it difficult to contribute my own ideas. It would be helpful if at the next meeting you could assist me to deliver my views in a better manner." This time, Susan has followed the constructive feedback guidelines. Let's look at improving morale, motivation, and commitment. The following 3 factors are emphasized: recognition for a job well done, a sense of achievement, unlocking the potential for growth and development. Constructive feedback is fundamental to achieving these objectives. Being able to give and receive constructive feedback can also have a powerful effect on the interpersonal relationships. Let me ask you a question. Feedback can be defined as information about performance or behavior, or destructive criticism. Is it barriers to employee and the employer, or is it a one-way communication?